every
We're live. How about that? We're live. Hey everybody, it's Cask coming at you again. Everybody's favorite podcaster in the entire universe, right? Coming to you also live. Well, we're not live. We're recorded, but we're on 97.7 FM WBFF Veterans for Freedom Radio. The Truth in Broadcasting Corporation, and we're listening to the new Christmas song by yours truly.
Soon to be a classic. Is it available online anywhere?
No, not yet. I wanted to get it out. What's supposed to do?
Well, how can your fans buy it and use the stocking stuff?
It's Christmas time. It's time for us to unite, as they say, in the song. However, it doesn't appear that there's a whole lot of uniting going on these days. There's a lot of division in the world, including South Carolina, directed towards moi. You used to be the target, but now it's me.
That's true. That's true.
This is the...
you can take it. I can take it.
This is the illustrious... I can't speak today. Elaine Greenwood from Super Woke News, trying to get my mic right. And you can catch her out on X. She is out there setting the world straight, one post at a time.
Indeed, I am. Yeah.
You are.
We've got an agenda when I get off the air I'll tell you about related to leaders. But anyway, yeah. So what's going on, Jim? How you doing? You look good.
Thank you. I just got my Christmas festive. I just got some more lights put up. I have these balls made out of chicken wire, and then I wrapped lights around it, and I'm hanging them outside. It went pretty cool.
Yeah, that is a cool thing to do. Did you use what kind of lights do you use? LED lights?
No, just the old-fashioned kind.
Oh, those are cool. Those are really, really expensive now. Like, if you can buy them, there's a company that sells them too. They're like $65 a strand.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So what else is going on, Jim?
I'm under attack. It's Pearl Harbor. Well, it was Pearl Harbor Day the other day, but it's Pearl Harbor. I'm getting attacked.
Well, here's a response to that is, do you drink? Now would be the time to take it up. Okay, so who's attacking? Don't tell me. It's not that crazy cow. She actually filed an amendment to her non-party motion to quash her deposition, her requirement to sit for a deposition. If I were the judge in that case, I'd say, bitch, you ain't different than any other human being. You're sitting for this deposition because you are a material witness. And otherwise, sit down, shut up, and let's just get through it. Instead,
by the way, everything here is alleged and for education purposes.
Sure.
Yes. Her. When
she files the amendment to it, it's like, I would say, lady, you're not a journalist. You're a whiny crybaby. Stop it. You're not special.
We're talking about Mandy Moses.
Well, I wasn't really going to name her. I thought maybe some people would know and some people might not. But yeah, as a matter of fact, you're right. It's just outrageous. It wouldn't matter if it was her doing it or any non-party person doing this. The court's time is valuable, and they don't have time to deal with the petty concerns of this delusional creature.
Yeah.
Isn't that a nice word? See, I didn't have to call her much of anything else.
Well, what I really don't like now is I spent a lot of time on this article about Stephen Smith. Tremendous amount of time. Worked with SLED Special Agent Radowski from South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. Worked with my attorney on this thing. Worked a little bit with you on it. And
you spent a lot of time on it. You did an outstanding job. You did what journalists do. You investigated it. So
investigated thoroughly. But, so I think Sandy's been living with this for 10 years and counting now. And, this case has certainly haunted South Carolina for over a decade. And this unsolved death overshadowed by a ton of rumors, politics of all things, and just the Murdaugh saga getting pulled into it. But I through my investigation, found a confidential source, and I'll put a link to the article in this podcast. But I found a confidential source who's come forward and alleged that two persons that they were there on the night of July 8th, 2015, when a person by the name of Patrick Wilson walked in to his home where he lives. They were there and said that they thought, quote, they hit someone, they killed someone, and they being him and Sean Conley. So I think there was like 67 revisions to this article because I wanted to make sure everything was right. I wanted to make sure that I ran everything by SLED, that everything that I had for this article, SLED had. So it's working hand in hand. And not only that, my attorney, who is bound by rules that you and I are not, I showed her all the evidence as well and made sure to clear all this with them. So I not only did I do the right thing and collected the evidence, I preserved the evidence and went through the legal hoops to make sure that it was preserved. And for that now, I'm being attacked. I'm a fake, a fraud, a whack job. I think they spent a whole podcast today trying to discredit me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't listen to it. I'm sure they're going to say he's no journalist. But let me tell you, if you guys are the definition of what journalists are, you're correct. I'm no journalist because I don't want to be anything like you. I want to tell the truth. I am not unbiased. And if you think being biased as a journalist is the right thing to do, you need to go back to the University of Kansas and go get your money back because they taught you wrong. How about that?
I followed them, and like a lot of people, I got seduced early on, right after the murders of Paul and Maggie. I got seduced by what seemed to be their credibility, and a lot of it was backed up by Fitz News, Will Folks, Fitz News, giving those two women a podium. And it didn't take long to realize they were so biased in their coverage. But what they're doing, my opinion of them is based on their conduct, the articles that they published. I don't follow them now. They're so offensive to me for creating this fake narrative, monetizing it. There's a Hulu, what do they call that? A crapamentary or some sort of just bunch of garbage that has a narrative that isn't based on fact. And it is so extraordinarily defamatory to Buster Murdaugh, to the Murdaughs. We don't need to make up anything about what Alec Murdaugh did and to absolutely ignore your incredible investigative journalism to push this narrative that Murdaugh has to be involved in the death of Stephen Smith. Who does that suit? It doesn't suit the facts. It doesn't suit somebody that is still monetizing a narrative that's worth millions of dollars. It's so wrong. It's so offensive. It's not journalism. It's propaganda masquerading as journalism.
So you want to call me a liar, not you. They want to call me a liar. Well, let's bring the receipts that I have that's going to disprove their defamatory marks and lies about moi in my writing about Stephen Smith. Shall we? Let's just start with this one right here. And people are like, oh, yes, you didn't work with SLED. Oh, yeah, I did. And here it is right here. This is Special Agent Peter Rodolski, and I've blacked out his phone number and his email and things of those sort. But this is an email that he sent me when I had more evidence to upload into their Axion system. And he sent me this email and says, just send another link. So I opened the link and uploaded more. So there's number one. This thing is real. And not only did I work with SLED for months, honestly, it was an ongoing relationship where I completely gave them information. And then, so I worked on this article.
You even postponed, you could have monetized your narrative, you could have sensationalized it. You postponed even publishing it to give SLED the chance to do some investigation first and to sort of review it. And then you had to balance the public's right to know this explosive information that you'd gathered with maybe SLED's need to investigate for a while. So you sacrificed yourself, basically, and the notoriety of this great story by giving SLED a chance. And something that I've heard them lie about, I saw where Eric Bland says, we knew all about this 2 years ago. No, you didn't, Mr. Bland. You're an idiot. No, you did not. SLED didn't know about this. This is new information that you alone uncovered, which, by the way, makes you eligible for that reward that they were offering. Remember when they were saying, all we want is the truth, all we want to know is what happened? I don't think that's what they wanted to know. I think they really, all they wanted was to keep a controversy going because they could monetize it.
Yes, there is a reward out there. I think it's $50,000 now for the arrest of the people who killed Stephen Smith. But yes, you're correct. I could have went out and just ran that flagpole forever. But I gave SLED, even though they never dictated to me when to do this. But yes, Mr. Bland, you are wrong. This is not old information. Your buddy Chief Keel knows all about it. Why don't you give him a call and see if he'll tell you? The Attorney General's office of the state of South Carolina know all about my evidence. Well, not all of SLED, but Agent Radulski certainly does. So between the Attorney General's office, SLED, and Chief Keel, everybody is well aware of it, except for you, Mr. Bland, the attorney, who I offered you, the attorney, and Mrs. Smith, the opportunity to listen to said interview. It's an hour-and-a-half interview, but I would think she would want to know what this new credible information is. I mean, she even told me, and we're going to listen to it shortly, but Sandy told me on the telephone, she told me point blank, you've told me more than any SLED agent, unquote, Sandy Smith.
I heard her say that.
We're going to listen to it shortly.
Yeah. That's alarming to me. But did you notice in that conversation, how can I put this? She's very aware of every little thing that you mentioned. It wasn't really a surprise to her as far as what these people are doing when they've been in jail, when they've been let out of jail, their culpability in this.
Yeah.
What I'm kind of concerned about at this moment is, what do these people actually know? Are they aware of how false this narrative is? Because I think Lester has a lawsuit right now for defamation, and I think he needs to add some people, including people at Hulu, because the information was there. They don't want to know about it because it doesn't fit a lucrative narrative. But yeah.
Yeah. So, for 10 years, Sandy has sought only one thing, and that's the truth about what happened to her son and who was responsible. And over that decade, she's reached out to the FBI, private investigators. She had an attorney called Andy Savage. She has an attorney right now, Eric Bland. The online personality, Mandy Matney, SLED, online communities, national media outlets. So what I did is I just began my intensive investigation into the death of Stephen Smith. And what I did was, and this is not everything, this is just what I want to put in the article, what I did was including driving all the roads up and down Sandy Run Road, measuring distance, time, by time, all kinds of stuff based off of the interview that I did with Patrick Wilson. I measured the roadways, investigated every rumor of Buster's connection, and I found none. I conducted a 90-minute interview with Patrick Wilson himself in August of 2024. I published a 4-part series there, interviewing numerous locals with direct ties directly to Wilson and Conley, interviewing residents familiar with the truck-based hog hunting in Hampton County, which is flourishing, and filing FOIA requests to SLED and the South Carolina State Patrol for the complete crime scene file photos and reports, including ones that confirm the tire tracks on the cornfield side of Sandy Run Road, where the source said Conley and Wilson were driving. And then, of course, I met with Agent Radowski, and for the record, on October 15th, 2025, Sandy Smith thanked us for our work, my work, acknowledged the depth of the investigation and reiterated that we told her more in 10 years than any SLED agent ever has. So if I don't know, what would you read into that? That no one else has told her anything more than SLED, so anything else would be less, right?
What to it? They have, if your truth doesn't, your news, your investigative journalism doesn't fit their narrative, they're not about seeking the truth. They're about monetizing this, and Hulu's going to have to turn around and say, we've got to retract the insinuations we're making because they're defamatory to Buster and it's misleading. You know, that turd of a documentary from Hulu will survive and people will think it's accurate, unbiased, and true. And it's not. And they know it's not.
Yeah.
And what's part of the vitriol directed at you is because you kind of pissed all over their cornflakes.
Listen, I didn't go out to do this to pee all over the cornflakes. I had no intention of doing anything with them. I applaud them actually for getting this noticed out into the media, but I don't ever recall any of these people in their car measuring time and distance and going to Prince Williams Road and finding the different ways to Sandy Run Road, talking with Wilson, talking to Wilson's girlfriend, family, friends, all those people. But, on that same day I talked to Sandy, I also talked to Eric. And the reason I talked to Eric is because Sandy wanted me to call Eric. She said, would you please call Eric? I said, do you want me to call your attorney? She's like, yeah. I said, Richter Bland. She goes, call Eric Bland. I said, okay, do you have his number? Yep, got his number. So I called him and we spoke on the phone. I sent him several texts. He sent me some texts. And I sent him an email based off of the email that he gave me. And he received the article about Stephen Smith directly. And he got that, and Sandy got that before it was published, because I wanted them to hear the information from me first before they heard anything from the public. And at that time, Eric Bland was very impressed, and he was thankful. So let's go down to that receipt. This is a text at 2:33 in the afternoon from Eric Bland. I said, it says, sent, thank you for your time. It was October 15th, 3:56. And he says, thank you for your hard work on October 15th at 4:10 p.m. And my response was, it was a pleasure. I pray this leads to arrest and convictions. I also pray it gives Sandy a little feeling of closure. Thanks.
Okay, so again, back to having the wrong dictionary. Maybe what he meant by thank you for your hard work is you're a clown, you're nuts.
Whack job. I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, that's what. It's just a bad dictionary. His dictionary is faulty. Anyway, I find this so reprehensible. It's infuriating.
Yeah, he didn't know who I was. Let's see. I got another picture here. Oh yeah, here we go.
Should he be representing clients if his memory is this faulty? I mean, it makes me wonder, did a barbell fall on his head or something? I mean, what the hell? How did he not remember you? I don't know who this clown is. This one that I said hard work.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, so let's go. I want to show this other one here. Share screen.
That's Dylan Noland, the guy that wanted to fillet me. Dylan.
There, can you see that?
Oh, you're going to tell me about it because I'm looking
Oh,
at.
these are, oops, I should probably take that off there because it's got his, yeah. So on there, or maybe that was my number. On there is messages and text messages back and forth between Eric Land and I. And so on October 15th, Eric Land and I were buddies. Buddies. I talked to him for, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe, and sent several texts and an email, all on the record. So, I don't know what he would be referring to. Makes no sense. Why would you come out and say, I don't know this person?
Well, I think that the reason you would do that, one reasonable assumption is he's a liar. That's my assumption. That's my opinion. Because when you deny the obvious truth and you're an adult, a fully functioning adult who's practicing law in the state of South Carolina, he ought to know the difference between right and wrong. I don't know that he does. I haven't seen much evidence of that. I can't. It's like, no, what they're saying is they own this narrative. How dare you impinge upon their view of this? How dare anybody?
They don't own the narrative, and no one owns the narrative of Stephen Smith. The world, the Lord God Himself, is the owner of that, but we are not. We are just here working for the greater good. I'm not sure what they're working for, but this is the. Yeah, it's still on there. Okay, so this is the YouTube video that I posted of the conversation I had with Sandy on October 15th, and I want you to listen to a few things.
Yeah.
Let's just play it.
Hello?
Hey, sorry, my phone was acting crazy.
What was that?
I don't know. It wanted to put you on camera, and I said, no, I don't want you on camera.
So
Hi, Sandy.
This is about a 20-minute phone call. I'm not going to play the whole 20 minutes.
A person about an article that I wrote, and that person is very close to Patrick Wilson. Do you know Patrick Wilson?
I really don't know him, but I know his grandmother.
Okay. So I interviewed Patrick Wilson about a year ago, and I interviewed this person who wants to remain as a confidential source.
All right, so I'm telling her that I interviewed this person and they want to remain a confidential source. For the record, I want everyone to know that SLED knows exactly. The Attorney General's office of the state of South Carolina know exactly who this person is.
Yeah, and I think Sandy does too, or would have had she, for sure.
Sandy can. I offered her and Eric the opportunity to listen to this. Now, because the person wants to remain anonymous, I would have some stipulations about how they can use it, especially with Eric being on the podcast. So I want to have that done through my attorney. But I want her to listen to this because she doesn't know how credible this evidence is, because I can't say it. And it's credible, it's new, and it's material. And SLED learned about it on July 29th, 2025, not one day earlier. Do I have that correct? Yes, I do. Not one day earlier. And I think this is where...
Okay. However, what I'm going to tell you
on.
is the information that I'm telling you now. I have met with my attorney. Oh, my God.
I was having some phone call conversation problems that her phone was dropping it in. And it's got terrible cell service. There I am calling back, but this is where we're talking about.
I'm sorry, I don't know what keeps happening. I don't know what keeps happening. Are you there?
Yeah.
Is there a...
Oh, wait. Hold on. I went to the wrong spot.
For me that I can talk to you about?
No, what you said is very interesting.
Yeah.
You've told me more than any SLED agent.
Right.
You've told me more than any SLED agent. This is Sandy Smith. She was such a wonderful person to talk to.
There's a timeline I put in here. It doesn't. You probably know more about this than me. With the July 8th and SLED declining the case and the murders of
Wow.
him and Sean Conley. I know they killed that boy, as alleged by the source. They're coming forward because Patrick made that confession to his father.
Wow. I do appreciate all this information.
Yeah, I know that you've had a conversation with Sean Conley in the past.
Jim,
Yeah.
I don't know how to say this, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm engaged to a guy. He's a little bit barely older than Steven, and he dies. And it's a sad death, a real tragic death. And I knew his mother very, very well. And I've known other people in my lifetime who have lost children, and how they speak about it. You can hear it in a mother's voice, the love they have for their child.
Mm-hmm.
Last night when I was going to listen to that, and I said, I can't. I listened to a little bit of it. We're right about where we are right now in that. And I said, I got to stop. I don't want to have this be what's on my mind as I fall asleep. But for any mothers out there, if you lost a child, I find this entire conversation odd, actually disturbing. There's something missing. And in the context of everything about monetizing this and insisting on ignoring evidence, she doesn't even want to hear this evidence, ultimately. When supposedly she's been begging, I remember this, about all I want is to know the truth about what happened to my son. All I want is to know the truth. Here's my GoFundMe page. But all I want is the truth about what happened to my son. Well, here's potentially the truth about what happened to your son. When I woke up this morning, there was a comment under the video that said, basically expressed the same feeling that I'm kind of trying not to say exactly.
Uh-huh.
But something
Yeah,
just,
I don't know. I didn't get that from her, but
well, you're a very kind man. And, you have taken on cases, Caden Moses, I think was the child's name, that where it's a lost cause almost. And his family have nobody else to reach out to. And you got lawyer Lori involved, and Seton Tucker, I think, was there, and you had kind of an event at the courthouse, and you've done a lot to try to raise awareness. I think there's now a special prosecutor maybe appointed in that case, but I know how you are. You care. You cover a lot of these stories at your own expense because you care deeply about the people. In fact, I've asked you, why are you covering this story? There's not a monetary value to it at all. And you say, but I care about these people. I care about people that can't necessarily speak for themselves, or they've exhausted every avenue. And so you're a kind person. I know that. And you're very compassionate.
yeah, I hate when people say, "Oh, you're doing this for clicks." I'm like,
No.
don't click on it. I'm just putting the information out there.
Yeah,
The last text I sent her about this, about seeing or listening to the interview, was October 19th, and this was 2 days after October 17th. And I said, I'll have to see when, she says, I'll have to see when my next day off is. I'm a caregiver for a 90-year-old man, and his children live in New York. So far.
And then just.
Yeah, I really haven't heard anything from her. But the narrative problem, we have facts versus a decade of rumor. This is the problem. And you've said this so many times before in the past, that it is so hard to break a narrative that is out there.
It grabs hold. this
It
narrative,
doesn't let go.
it doesn't let go. And it's so destructive. It's destructive. It's the one thing we're battling. You know, I get up in the morning around 3 o'clock in the morning and start looking at different people I follow on X. And the one consistent theme, we're battling a fake narrative. And once it grabs hold, it's just like this virulent cancer. It spreads. And we have a duty to who we are. We have a duty to humanity to be more careful about narratives we embrace. But in this case, when you've got actual evidence, not gossip, not innuendo, but actual evidence that I don't care about what Mandy and Liz and Mark Tinsley and Eric Bland think. They're entitled to their opinion. But if I'm the mother of this child in this circumstance, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe she's got some sort of contract with them. But for nearly 10 years, its media coverage, especially in Lunarshark media, has pointed to the Murdaugh family, often Buster, specifically as being linked to Stephen Smith's death. And these allegations obviously were never supported by physical evidence, forensic findings, or named suspects. You know, mentioned as rumors in a MAKE report, but nonetheless, the rumors of Buster took hold. And what's interesting, and we go back and talk about these texts, is that they talk to Netflix and Cinemark all the time in their texts, and they gave Netflix and Cinemark access to their evidence files, which is interesting because the Buster Murdaugh theory that Buster's suing Netflix and Cinemark came from them, based off of them providing them access to their evidence, online evidence. But anyway, once this new credible material evidence surfaced contradicting their storyline or that storyline, the reaction was not curiosity or caution, it was retaliation. And I find it funny, some idiot on Facebook, they're so stupid. Where is it? I don't want to read it.
While you're looking at it, somebody said that you had the Barry Manilow song, "Oh Mandy."
Oh, Mandy. I like Barry Manilow. I grew up with Barry Manilow.
Yeah. Well, you're 12 years younger than I am. Yeah, I like Barry Manilow. He's okay. He has some good songs. You certainly, hummed along. He wrote the song.
Somebody wrote, Mr. Seidel, allow me to be crystal clear. You are not being attacked, although it might feel like it because of the mountain of lies and trash reputation you created for yourself. They call me a liar, and the truth is being revealed. Oh, the truth.
Who wrote that?
Anonymous.
Yeah, I stand
They're
firm.
too
Pock of Jello. Let me attack.
friggin' scared to put their name out there.
Right. Okay, I like these. Read another one.
They're stupid. But so Mandy doubles down. This was last week in where Mandy had her podcast, and I have a screenshot here for everybody in the article. You can go to crimeandcast.com and check it out. And where she says, I think that somebody in the Murdaugh family had something to do with Stephen's death. I think they were involved in it way too much. It would just be too many weird coincidences. That doesn't even.
There's no legal standard. Too many weird coincidences. And Mandy is so delusional. Everything to her is a weird circumstance. And, from some of the texts, you get the impression these women are very delusional, very neurotic, and they see all kinds of things that aren't there. And they never seem to have the self-awareness to say, oops, we really got that wrong. But we might as well, if she can do this rumor out of nothing, why doesn't somebody, you're tempted. I'm not going to do this. But start a rumor about her saying, this is what's true.
I don't have time for that. Number one, I've got too many things trying to keep the truth going. But then on October 17th calls, by the way, this is 97.7 FM, WVFF, Veterans for Freedom Radio. On Mandy Matney calls this journalist, Murdaugh, a cruel liar. And that was on October 17th. And this date is going to make sense here shortly. It was a cruel liar, fake and fraud. And if people tagged her in my article, she would block them. So she's threatening to block her fans. This occurred, she was out in Hollywood gallivanting with the actors in that Hulu series. And this occurred 2 days after I had a phone call with Sandy Smith, where I informed her of the evidence that was presented to me in an interview about Colleen Wilson. So 2 days after. And I think the timing for that speaks for itself, because on October 22nd, there's an online paper called Screen Rant published an article summarizing Hulu's death, murdering the family, quoting Matney's partner Liz Farrell as a narrative authority, while stating there's no evidence pointing to suspects outside of Murdaugh orbit.
Yes, yes, there is.
Yes, there is. The case remains unsolved. Rumors about Buster continue to circulate, and Eric Bland believes the killing was a hate crime. And the article notably omitted the new evidence entirely, what I had posted. And despite its existence and SLED's possession of it, including the Attorney General's office, and its profound implications, the omission reinforces a pattern that the old narrative is profitable and the new one is inconvenient. And by the way, the Hulu show on October 17th had not aired the episode that included the Stephen Smith, Buster Murdaugh, and Paul Murdaugh episode. So,
But you know what it is?
it would kind of blow that narrative away, don't you think?
Yes, you have to be a them approved expert to have an opinion about this. What is more galling than these? Liz has some talent, but neither one of them is particularly what I would describe as an intelligent person. So to have these people tell us that they and only they can tell us what the facts mean in this case they are so delusional. I don't hold them in that esteem. I didn't give them that agency over my opinions or my ability to form opinions looking at objective fact. It's
So
just
here's some more Eric Bland quotes for you.
sure.
And as I said, after months of cordial communication, Eric Bland abruptly launched a coordinated series of attacks on Facebook and X in December 2025. I mean, I am living in this man's head rent free for writing an article that solves the Stephen Smith case, which he's been begging on his knees for years. Please help Sandy. Please help Sandy. Okay,
Yeah.
Here, I'm helping Sandy. No, get away. You're a whack job. You're deranged. You're a clown. I don't know this person. He actually said, I don't know this person. Someone who should stay a million miles away from the case. A person harassing people every day. I don't know what I do to harass people. But write articles about the truth based off of public information.
I hate to say this, Jim, but you need to file a complaint with the South Carolina Supreme Court's Office of Judicial Conduct, because he is so reckless with the truth. For Mandy and Liz, you could say, well,
I'll tell you, I never in my life have I filed an ODC complaint until last week. I filed 3.
well, I have one, a mammoth one.
The 4th one was filed yesterday, and that was on 2 other attorneys. So 4 ODC complaints in a week on 2 attorneys who have done nothing but attack me
Right.
and say unsubstantiated claims in motions that I am not a party to. I am only a journalist writing stories about things on the public index. I didn't put it on the public index. I didn't give it to attorneys to put it on the public index. I am simply writing a story. I'm trying to live the American dream, and these people are just bashing away to save a whatever. I don't know. He says he also falsely accused this reporter of exploiting Sandy Smith and using his own Eric's image for commercial gain.
Oh, give me a break.
This guy gets into a cow suit and does a podcast like it's a normal thing. He's like, "Oh, it's Halloween." Okay, well, yeah, super attorney, super lawyer. Yeah.
Holding the profession, he's holding the profession in ill repute, but at this point, he's created utter contempt for the South Carolina bar.
He's broken so many ethics violations. It's not funny. Thank you for your hard work. This is what he said to me on October 15th. And on October 27th, when I was like, dude, do you want to listen to this or not? He's like, I know, I told you to go to SLED. I'm like, bro, you read the article. I emailed it to you. You said, thanks. Thank you for your hard work. You know that I took it to SLED. Why is all of a sudden he's coming up with amnesia? Unless he's got really bad memory. But the contradiction between his private encouragement to moi and his public vitriol is quite stark and raises questions why the shift occurred precisely when evidence emerged pointing away from the Murdaughs and towards Conley and Wilson on the 15th of October. And it all stopped on the 17th when Mandy stepped herself in, took her time off from her little Hulu show, and all of a sudden it stopped. But the timing also aligns with something else. The CC News Network investigated coverage of the Beach v. Parker 392 case. I think I have that trademark too, don't you? Every time you say 392, I think I charge you.
You do. I think it's $20.
I think it's $20. And I did some exclusive reporting on publicly filed documents that involve Liz Farrell, Mandy Matney, and Luna Shark Media. Like they're the only ones that can report on this. I don't understand this. They've been reporting on the 392 case for years. They've been reporting on Parker's for years. And allegedly getting all this information from Mark Tinsley, according to Liz Farrell on her deposition, and posting it verbatim. But I guess no one else in the world can. Is that what you're trying to say? No one can report on the 392 case? Because what I'm doing is going to the public index, looking at what's been filed. I called it the 12 days of Christmas. I was talking to a friend of mine. I'm like, it's like 12 days of Christmas. Every day you wake up, there's a new motion filed. Every time there's a new motion filed, you're going to write about it.
What's the new motion? She's got an amendment to her motion in opposition to their notice of they want to post because she's a material witness.
Yeah, that one got her two attorneys in ODC complaint.
But wait, no, here's the deal. So Mandy thinks that the way the judicial system goes, she gets to decide whether she's a material witness or not, and she gets to decide because she didn't go to law school or anything. She's demonstrated no understanding of the legal process at all.
Maybe she's a Democrat.
She has infinite stupidity. She doesn't have to be deposed because she doesn't think she has material evidence. That's not.
I think I saw a post like this. Somebody sent me that. She's like, oh my God, what is this? In America, an attorney can get you into a room for several hours to ask you questions? Who has time for that? I'm like,
morons, that's called discovery in any law. The answer to that is yes, it's in America.
And they're making fun of me.
She shouldn't be. Any school of journalism that claims to be a graduate should be embarrassed. And if I want my tax dollars back for graduating such an idiot. But what she's doing, among other things, is wasting the court's time with this. But I track a lot of lawsuits. Oh,
I know Judge Kelly. He's not going to be very nice on that particular one, dragging me into something. The state newspaper. Let me guess. The state newspaper writes an article about it. You're going to put them in the motion.
No, but this is the thing I think is funny.
The state newspaper is writing stuff about us. Make him stop.
No, but she's filed this I'm a non-party, but I'm filing my own motion in opposition to being asked to be deposed. And then she decides that wasn't sufficient. So she files an amendment to her non-party motion in opposition of being asked to be deposed. If I'm the judge, I'd say, lady, sit down, shut up. You're appearing on this date or I will throw you in jail. And yes, you are going to answer questions under oath. You don't get to decide what the questions are. You don't get to decide. If you decide not to answer them, you can be held in contempt of court. I would like to see Mandy brought into court as a witness if she thinks she can get away with this kind of attitude with a judge. In fact,
Judge Kelly, get ready because you're going to be the next one. You're the next contestant on Let's Get Defamed and Harassed on podcast. Oh, he's going to be part of the Good Old Boy Network. This is going to be the Murdaugh judge. And listen, I know what you're going to do before you do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
They allow,
so I wrote these articles, and it was about Farrell's subpoena and her battle and her motions to file in the Hampton County. I mean, it was very public. I got nothing from nobody except from the public index. Mandy's attempt to avoid testifying at a deposition, that was on the public index. And court filings showing inconsistencies between Luna Shark's public persona and their legal arguments. Now, that's pretty clear in the text that Kelly Lyons had and was subpoenaed by. Here's what I find is interesting is I don't know how much Kelly sent to them in that subpoena, but I'm assuming it's a lot. So, of course, you're not going to lie in a deposition.
no, you can lie.
Well, you can, but you don't want to do it when they have the text messages proving you're wrong.
Well, you're gonna.
Oh, is that the case? I can just see it now. And Mark Moore's gonna be like, what do you think about this? What's about this text? By the way, I had nothing to do with that. That was all on you guys and Fitz and she got a subpoena that she had to lawfully abide by. So the attack started in these 3 separate public attacks, and each one grew more aggressive. And from a whack job to harassing people, I used his picture of him in a cow costume to promote my commercial endeavors. What am I selling? Cow do?
Cow manure.
Cow manure. Hey, everybody, Cask coming at you. We got some cow manure coming from this guy right here. He's a super lawyer down in Charleston.
I'm sorry, but the guy, it's just, you can't take him seriously. I'm surprised that he's gotten this far. We need to ask more of journalists in general. I saw something on Fitz News today where they're talking about whatever, and Seaton is saying, we're talking about how important it is for journalists to actually cover a story with objectivity. And it is extremely important. So, it's why
Now, according to Mandy, she says every journalist has an opinion, and that they write based off of their opinion. I can tell you she's wrong. I don't.
False.
And that's not taught in any, maybe out in the University of Kansas, that's not taught in any journalism school. Write with your opinion.
No. What I'm saying,
and maybe she missed the first week of class in her freshman year. That's usually when they teach that.
But Jim, we don't want to make a straw man argument. So what she's saying is that we all as human beings have a point of view, and we do, for sure. Okay. Sure. But the idea of what you learn in the School of Journalism, or learn about journalism or about press and politics or press and whatever, is that you want to be objective so that you're not tainting your coverage with your bias. And I would say that for some people, you don't want to taint your coverage with your neurotic behavior and your wild accusations and your wild assumptions. And objectivity is
pretending not to know a journalist that you just spoke with, emailed with, texted with. How about that? Calling them names, defamatory names, unethical, being unethical, breaking rules of conduct.
But for Mandy to say that, she's held to one standard. Eric Bland is held to a different standard, a higher standard. He lives in language. That's what litigation is about, language, the specific meaning of terms and phrases. When he uses those terms and phrases, he needs to be held to a higher standard. I would say that he has crossed the line and should be disbarred. I find
well, the South Carolina Rules of Professional Conduct, specifically rules 4.4a, 8.4d, and 8.4e, which prohibit attorneys from engaging in conduct intended to embarrass, burden, or harass third parties or conduct prejudicial to administration of justice. It's even worse when they appear they're trying to discredit journalists, allegedly to protect the narrative. And one that pays, by the way. The timing just can't be ignored. Sorry, go ahead.
Go back and read that again. You said conduct. It's conduct. What's key to this? I looked at cases, there's South Carolina.
Yeah. That's why I have you on.
It is why, because I can bitch and nag and moan. And anyway, but the Commission on Judicial Conduct almost never does anything. But I still think that you have to point this out to them. At some point, they're going to have to say, we ought to take a second look at Eric Bland and whatnot.
Well, he's had 3 now, 2 last week, 1 this week, and I understand he's defaming me and lying about me online today. So about this Stephen Smith thing. So it looks like there's going to be a 4th one coming. I mean, the people at office, the ODC are going to be like, what? No.
Well, they haven't done enough, so it's fine. I don't care. Oh, boo-hoo, cry me a river. They need to get to work. They need to, I love the state of South Carolina, but they need to tweak some things, including these legislative lawyers and whatever. But let's see.
So here's why the timing matters of all this stuff. Every shift from Sandy's silence to Bland's attacks to Mandy's denials occur after 1, I informed Sandy Smith of the new suspects, 2, SLED received the recorded confession, and 3, Looney Shark's Hulu dramatization locked in the Buster narrative that's been there for years, which they gave to Cinemark and Netflix. And don't say that you didn't, because you did. And the pattern suggests less about the validity of the evidence and more about the fragility of a long-marketed storyline. I mean, the truth does. This is something I've said. Maybe I should patent this. I'm kidding. The truth doesn't need your permission to be the truth. The truth stands on its own, and according to my highly credible source, that's their truth. And SLED and the Attorney General haven't been working with them for months since this summer. So a confession exists. SLED possesses that evidence. The suspects named are not Murdaugh's. And the long marketed theory, to me, is collapsing. Actually, not collapsing, collapsed. And for the first time in 10 years, this case is closer, not further from the truth.
But also what's being exposed is who these characters that created this narrative really are. And
yeah,
they're not trustworthy. And I don't know, maybe they were good people that got off track, or maybe they were reckless, willful, stupid people who were never on track to start with. I don't really know, and I don't care. What they're doing is it's offensive because they're claiming to be journalists. If they were saying, hey, we're just making this stuff up, but it's compelling, pay us X number of dollars to listen to our narrative, you could say, sure, fine, whatever. It's all fiction. But that's not what they're doing. And they're hurting real people, which is just really, it's just unacceptable. And we have
well, it's negligence is what it is. The refusal to update the reporting in the face of new credible evidence, which they refuse to listen to. It's not journalism, it's negligence. And I don't know how those clinging to a disproven narrative live with the fact that their denial may allow the real perpetrators to continue to walk free, according to my confidential source. And how can they sleep at night knowing that a witness risked their safety to tell the truth, only for them to mock it and have their fans try to attack me and mock me because it doesn't fit their narrative script? I mean, can you honestly claim to seek justice for Stephen Smith while still pointing fingers at Buster long after the evidence pointed elsewhere? I mean, this isn't about justice. It's about protecting a storyline. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, that's my patent line.
Alleged and for entertainment purposes only. What?
Jim, that's excellent. The way that summary there. How can you pretend to even care anything about this? You're allowing the killer to continue to walk free. Also, this is incredibly harmful to Buster, who did not have anything to do with this.
To continue on the road of Buster when they refuse, not like, oh, they haven't heard it yet. They refused. They ignore me. They ghost me. They go out and attack me. Attack this guy. All I'm here is doing exactly what you asked for years. Please help Sandy Smith find the real killers of Stephen Smith on July 8th, 2015. I did that, and for that, I got attacked. Explain that to me. I'm a third grader.
And I can't explain a lot of things, except that, something else is bigger than Mandy and whatever is
a ham sandwich.
that too. But you got to wonder, why is SLED so incompetent to or unwilling to actually look at some facts? They are so invested in protecting that conviction of Alec Murdaugh. You know, was it yesterday that Becky Hill was allowed to plead guilty? What was she charged with? 6 misdemeanors. There were 6 charges pending against her. 2 were dismissed that have to do with perjury, as I recall, and 4, she's got 3 years probation, but none of them directly included tampering with a juror, or with the jury. And
Yes, the judge said, well, I've known Mr. Hubbard since he had dark hair and since I had hair, and he was a bald guy. He goes, and if Mr. Hubbard tells me that he can't find evidence to support bringing charges for jury tampering, then I believe him. So what did I do? What do you think I did?
you wrote an article. You got
No, I'm going to, but I reached out to Myra Crosby, juror 785, who was on the Alec Murdaugh trial.
yes.
And I said, let me get Solicitor Hubbard never reached out to you on jury tampering for Becky. And her response, not one time. And he had the audacity to say my story changed and was inconsistent. He committed perjury. So it's like saying, hey, what's underneath that rock? Nothing. Did you look? No.
Rock.
So they didn't ask her.
Ditto was wrong under Remmer, questioning those juries. That hearing was so offensive. You know, she's famous for another very famous case that got overturned at the United States Supreme Court level. This one will be too, if it has to get that far. But this isn't about Alec Murdaugh anymore. It's about the credibility of our judicial system, which, you know, when we see how ferociously this gang of thugs stick to this narrative about Stephen Smith in the face of overwhelming evidence that their narrative is wrong, you can understand how they did the same thing with their approach to Alec Murdaugh's trial. There's a lot of people benefit from that narrative. They've benefited enormously financially, and they're not going to let it go. And unfortunately, there are politicians in the state of South Carolina, including my best buddy, Alan Wilson, who will not. It'd be easier for him to just say, bury it, than to say, I should never have aligned myself with Creighton Waters. We should never have allowed Eric Bland and Mark Tinsley to be anywhere near the prosecution of Alec Murdaugh. And we should have called it a mistrial the minute that Newman, the questions he asked of Becky Hill were sufficient grounds for him to declare a mistrial. He knew she had tampered with jurors. He knew it then. He knew it in that in-camera hearing, and he let it go. So everybody had this agenda that Alec has to be guilty. And why is he guilty? Because of that money, because of those financial crimes.
Right.
Which it's just crazy. And there are people right now that still say, oh, no, he's guilty. How do you know? Well, Netflix said so. You know, it's just stupid. Which, by the way, people are dropping Netflix like a hot rock, because what they've done is they analyze the kind of content. What is Netflix promoting based on the content that it makes? And it's a lot of, they're not conservative values, let me say that, but it's about gender ideology and all kinds of things that are sort of brainwashing. It's like they want to brainwash humanity into saying, here's reality, and people really hate it. And that's basically what Mandy and Liz Farrell are doing. They're a little tiny version of this. Let's brainwash everybody, and they're going to attack you. If you say something that's inconsistent with what they're monetizing, they're going to marshal all their reserves. They're going to get their little troop, their little cult, to attack you. That's not journalism, folks.
Yeah, and I guess the attackers really come check me out, because my website numbers are going absolutely crazy. I mean, that's going up. So keep up the hey, thanks for the free advertising.
Jim, my laptop.
They charge, you know what? They charge $5,000 to do this. So I got $10,000 worth of free advertising. I wonder if I can write that off of my taxes. Kidding. Oh,
Jim,
actually, they're going to have to write that off. They're going to go ahead. It's lost cause. But yeah, if you want to do a story, they'll do it one for $5,000.
but I had somebody show up at my door, not at my door, but just walk into my backyard. I was on the phone with somebody, and here's this creature walking around. I didn't have a lot of respect for it. So I get off the phone, get the camera, and I go film him. And then I say, "What the hell are you doing?" And he says, "I'm with Windstar." And he's got this car with a Missouri license plate, and he's got his dog in the car, and he says he's with Windstar. And I say, "Well, this is a no trespassing sign, and I mean it, and you're trespassed from this property. So if you reappear here, you'll be arrested." And
Unless he's truly working for a utility company, which
I don't care. He doesn't. I don't have there's no windstream on this property. He has notice right now. He's trespassed. That's what.
You go get him. Go get him.
I'm gonna go get him because I'm not playing. Little lady.
The music you're hearing is Swamp Justice Radio by yours truly. Another song. I'm going to call it a hit just to drive everybody crazy so they can go out and spend hours proving it that it's not a hit. So just go ahead. It's a hit. Hit song. It's the #1 song in South Carolina. Apparently everybody just says that everything they do is #1. So it's the #1 song in South Carolina right now. Swamp Justice Radio, 97.7 WBFF, Veterans for Freedom Radio, the Truth in Broadcasting Corporation. Yeah. Stop harassing me, stop defaming me, stop lying about me, and just listen to the damn interview. Jeez. That's it. Comcast.ca on X Super Woke News. Comcast out.
Bye-bye.